Good morning. How are you?
What's going on today?
Oh, a lot of things.
Yeah.
Where do we begin?
That's a good problem, right?
It's not a problem. It's actually, I am trying to get the mission. We are actually went to next level with Wings4Heroes, and I have a an amputee here who had to have a urgent physical therapy for 1 month.
Yeah.
So I'm the organizer, I'm the driver, and actually right now there is a big holiday. We're in Turkey.
Okay.
And I'm the physical therapist, the guy, he has special needs in terms when he works out. So I'm the guy I was holding the rubber bands before we met, and I'm doing a million different things which I've never done before, and I never thought I would be doing things like this.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, it seems like you're the man for the hour. It seems like you do this quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to getting into your story and your history. It's a wonderful story. So
tell
thank
me
you.
your name, please.
It's Joe Dimino.
Joe, nice to meet you. I'm
Yeah.
Lyubim.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, it's great to convene. And you said you're in Turkey now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
And that,
Well, I'm in
mhm.
Kansas City, Missouri for context.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever been here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. It's a good town. Well, it's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out. I'm looking forward to getting into your story.
Anything specific you want me to concentrate on? Any parts that would be valuable to your audience? Are there any
I
little
think
things?
what I try to do is to do kind of a well-rounded look at who you are and how you got to where you're at. So we could focus on the present right now, the story that you weave together before we actually started being in Turkey and what you're doing right now. That might be a good focal point. But I'm going to kind of go on tangents and just kind of really get into your story and what you're doing, if that's good with you.
Whatever you want. Okay, I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure if you had something in mind, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'll just be a nice,
I
well-rounded
will follow you.
conversation.
I'll follow your lead.
Okay, sounds like a plan, man. Hey, it's wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So before we get into your good work, I want to know first and foremost, 5 years ago, this pandemic really changed so many things, lots of pivoting. How did you ultimately survive the global pandemic, and how has it radiated into the work that you're doing today?
It's an excellent question because we were traveling when the pandemic happened, and we were actually in Tenerife, and we were one of those people who got shipped back home on a chartered flight. And even though the world shut down, we lived in a little bubble where it reopened really fast, like all the tourist towns, they were trying to be the first ones to reopen. But how pandemic changed the whole world, I just noticed it recently. We're talking about May.
Yeah.
Um, I went to Denver, and that's my home, and that's where Wings4Heroes are incorporated. We're a public service corporation in Colorado. And I went to Denver to see my attorney, and one of the things that really surprised me, like not in the good way, of how dead downtown Denver became. 10 years ago, I left for Ukraine. I got to the top of my career. 2014, the book that I contributed and co-authored with Steve Forbes became the bestseller. And the following year, in 2015, in July, I was invited to New York to speak at the UN headquarters with Brian Tracy. So for me, it looked like all the 14 years of hard work and sacrificing, no vacations, short weekends, and just taking all the risk in trying to build the business. It finally paid off, and from the financial point of view, I saw that I'm going to monetize on all my success. But then it so happened that I was in Ukraine, just doing an internal audit. And after I presented what I found out, the company asked me to stay. And if you go back, the war in Ukraine started in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea.
Yeah.
It was geographically isolated, but it was ongoing since 2014. Now, I was there in August of 2015, and I had this offer. And basically, I saw how scared people were. We're talking about we're going back to the crisis that was before the pandemic, and it was the financial crisis of 2008. 2008, 2009. And my claim to fame is that I was able to lead all my clients without any net losses in any of the accounts. So um, I remember how, excuse me, I remember how scared people were
Yeah.
during the 2008, 2009. And it was, deer in the headlights kind of scared. Like, I am not doing anything. I don't know if I'll have a job tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen. So there was a lot of hand holding, even though my clients didn't experience, the losses in on their statements in their accounts. They were worried about losing businesses. They were worried about, the whole situation in the economy. So, um, and here I am now. Let's go back to 2015. I'm in Ukraine and I'm seeing the same thing. The reaction and how we hold ourselves. When we're scared and when we're hoping that somebody's going to help us. It's all in the body language. You don't need to talk to people. But what I saw was that in 2.5, maybe 3 weeks that I was there, really people kind of started opening up and they saw that they knew that I went to the States and I was really successful and they kind of hoped that I would stay because nobody knew what I was doing there. When you're doing an internal audit, you have access to everything, but people don't know what your position is. So again, I've presented my work and it was clear for the company that they will have to get rid of top management and there has to be serious restructuring, but who's going to, replace people that were with the company for like 15 plus years? It's always a difficult thing. So basically I agreed to do that without realizing what I was getting myself into. So the war was kind of distant, but it was real. And then it was a big mess trying to build something when we had nothing to model the situation of. Like in the States, we have certain things that we could model off, but again, 2008, 2009, all the models went out the window. So it was kind of the same, it was the next step. And I spent six years there, working for 6 years until the full scale invasion started. And then I left and it was time of pandemic. And to me personally, it was time to take some time off. I took some time off and I found the world really empty. And now I go back to Denver and I see the same thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm bringing the point that I'm trying to make is that I always thought that I can go to Denver, I can go to 16th Street Mall and meet all the people that I met before. We have a very large oil and gas industry. And I've been there, for 10 years in the same building. The people are still there, but they don't go to the office
Yeah.
and there's nobody outside. So I got scared, like for my survival. It was beginning of May. I didn't know how I'm going to find people. And one of the things that one of my mentors told me a while back, she said, Lyubim, you are an ideal guest, to go and share your experience with podcasting because you've been in so many different places, and your career is a clear path or movement of a leader and an entrepreneur who goes anywhere and gets things done. Like people would love to hear how you do it. And that was a while back. So I came back from Colorado, like really depressed and not knowing what I'm going to do. And then I thought, podcasts. So I just started contacting different shows like yours. And I'm fortunate that, my history resonates with people. The work that I've done and the accomplishments that I've made, it resonates with people. And I know that you want to hear some specific things on how to accomplish goals, on how to be resilient. And that's one of the messages, those, how do you rebuild when everything collapses around you? And the resilience. Those are two most common topics that I'm being asked on different shows.
Yeah, and you have an amazing backstory, and to begin getting into that story, I want to know this. If I put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-old kids at career day, what are the kids in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I am saving lives. I am taking care of people who protected us all so we can go 12-year-olds. We are what, sixth grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the sixth grade, they have clear awareness of what's going on. So it's basically, the kids know that there are bad guys out there and they're really brave and idealistic people in this world who take the obligation of protecting us all. So I'm taking care of those who took care of us, and I am actually saving one life at a time.
So when you were 12 years
Probably
old,
not exciting for 6 years
no,
old.
that's okay.
But then
No, I
I'm
mean, are
like,
you kidding me? You're going to be, based on what you've done and your resume and who you are and saving lives, you're going to be a hero to them. So, what did you want to be when you were 12 years old? What was your dream job?
I wanted to go to the Olympics.
And you, and but see, there's all these things that you've done in your life. How take me back to the beginnings of your life. How did these seeds get planted into you to
Okay.
have such strength and conviction and to do so much with your life?
I tell everyone that I had an unfair advantage. My mom was killed when I was one. So the years when all children go through the nurturing state, I got a different message. So, that I guess there is no fallback. And then I lived in a household um, with an alcoholic stepmother who was really abusive. So when you are a kid, and we're talking about, when you're 10 years old, you really don't have many options except run. And one of the things that I still have, I'm going to be 50 next year, so for more than 40 years, is that I get up at 4 in the morning or earlier, because those early days, if I didn't, I would have to deal with somebody who didn't like me. So all my friends are asking me, how do you write these emails like at 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock? I just say, I just naturally get up, and I never got over it. It really served me throughout my life. And I think that time is extremely important because nobody's calling. If you have a big family, everybody's sleeping. If you have a business that has demands on you, nobody is going to bother you at that 4 o'clock in the morning time. So, you know, um, starting to do things as soon as you wake up. It started early in childhood. And because I didn't want to be at home, I kept doing sports. I grew up in the former Soviet Union. You had sports, you had music, or you had science. Those were three ways out of, I mean, Soviet Union life, you can call the whole place a big ghetto where elites lived a really good life and everybody else suffered. So I knew that I was athletic. I was not, I got expelled from every grade but eighth. And the reason that didn't happen is because I was switching in between normal school and the school for the Olympic reserve. So I kind of migrated through one school on the way, and they didn't expel me. But I never liked school. I never liked anything that was organized in that country. But sports, it was my thing. And, when you're a good skier, you get to go ski in the mountains. It meant, yeah, it's great that I'm in the mountains, but I don't have to go home. And I never wanted to go home.
So you became an Olympian, um, and you've done so much, and you're changing lives. Who's been that inspiration, that heroic force for you to do all of this?
I have two role models. One is Henry Dunant. He was a Swiss banker, and in 1859, he was traveling to Italy for business. It was June 25th. He arrived to a place called Solferino, and he witnessed the Battle of Solferino. It was 170,000 Austro-Hungarian soldiers who fought about 140, 150,000 Imperial Army, which was France and Italy. And when they were done at the end of the day, he said that he just witnessed it. He said there were over 40,000 dead and wounded soldiers in that field, and nobody was helping. So he organized all the villagers, and at that time there were women because all the men were fighting at wars or hiding from fighting at war. And they were pulling out injured soldiers, and it took them about a week. Then he went home to Geneva and he wrote a book. It's called The Memory of Solferino. It's a little paperback. And that book started the Red Cross. So Henry Dunant, the founder of the Red Cross, he was the one guy who could not look away. And because of that, we have the Red Cross that right now has over 11 million volunteers all over the world. Now, there was a big controversy about what's going on with, there was some issues with the American Red Cross and all across the world. But um, after September 11th, I worked in the World Trade Center. And after September 11th, I left New York. I went to California briefly. Then I went for about 7 months to Colorado. And from there, I went for 1 year to Texas. And then I came back to Colorado and I stayed, 2003, I stayed for until 2015 until I left. But by going to so many places trying to find my new home in the United States, I was classified as a displaced person, and the Red Cross sent me a check for $15,000, and they never asked for anything. So that experience was almost 25 years ago, and then with Wings4Heroes, I found who started the Red Cross, and it was one guy. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Everybody says, all my friends, everybody who knows me, they say you are trying to do a mission, which is great, but it's meant for the governments. It's like it's the governments that have to do what you're doing. And I just made this mission a point that I am one man, and I want to show people how much we can do if we really try. And Joe, there is no money in this thing. It's not a financial endeavor. First 2 years we're running, it was still self-funded. My next step is to go out and start raising money, but so far I raised $36. So everything that was done, personal, family. And now we had an emergency where we had to bring one guy and save his only leg. Then I went to people that I worked with, but you know you can do a lot. What I'm saying is that we all can do a lot. And if Henry Dunant looked, if he looked away and he went on with his banking business, we wouldn't have the Red Cross. And they're doing phenomenal things just by collecting names of people who died at war and sending it to the family so the family can have closure. That's a huge deal. There are tens of millions of people that received notes. They never wanted to get that note, but that note allows them to say, it's the end. We can grieve, accept, grieve, heal, and just move forward. But if they don't get that note, it's suffering forever. It's always question mark. When they come back, will they come back? But yeah, Henry Dunant.
I got an interesting factoid about the American Red Cross. Dave Brubeck of Take Five fame, the jazz pianist, one of the most popular jazz albums of all time. His saxophone player was Paul Desmond. And towards the end of Paul's life, he didn't have family. He didn't have a wife and kids. And when he was getting ready to pass, they asked, he was the one that owns the rights to one of the most famous compositions in jazz history. They asked
Oh,
him, where do you want all of the profit to go to? And he picked the American Red Cross.
oh, how cool.
What a cool
Thank
story,
you.
right?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Really
Yeah.
cool.
So let me ask you this. You've met Bill Clinton, you've been in front of the UN, you've done magnanimous things in your life that people from the outside, civilians, say, wow, that's great.
I met Steve Forbes.
That's
Not,
what
I
I'm
didn't,
right, exactly. And I was going to get to that, and I know the best-selling
okay.
book, but my question to you is this. When you get around those level of the level of people that you've been around, how does that add and fuel you every day to do this mission to help change lives and to get people into better places? What do all those moments mean to you?
I think those are the moments when you realize that you've done something that other people could not do. So therefore you have responsibility and continue doing things. So, if you start a mission or if you start something that is bigger than you, then you got to be able to go and ask for an appointment with your governor, with your senator, with your congressman, with people who've been elected by all of us, to represent us in our government. And I think a lot of people are not comfortable with meeting their neighbor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a clear awareness that I have to do things that are not comfortable for other people. But while being in the room with billionaires and people who, run our country and the world, I was just wondering, like, how did I get here? I'm like the youngest guy. We're talking about starting 2011 was the first time when I got the invitation to go to New York and present. And All I remember, it goes by really fast, and I left the stage and I was soaked, like somebody dumped a bucket of water on me everywhere, like not just the upper body, but everything was wet, and I was
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
So, and another thing you realize, I want to say, like Steve Forbes, it, he was so nice, you know, he's like a grandpa personality. He's really like easygoing and really soft, not like what you see on TV. Like when he speaks and when he's with you, he's like a grandpa. So you realize like a lot of those people are really nice, and some people are they just so wrapped around the axle that you would never want to, you wouldn't want their position, their power, their money, whatever it is. It's just, you know, just like normal people just are in different life situations. And for me, I was always wondering, like, I'm the youngest guy in the room, you know, like, wow, how did that happen? So I guess you just realize everybody's the same, you know, like
Yeah.
the flesh is the same, no, thinking.
Yeah. I totally get that. So let me ask you this. You're a beacon of hope for a lot of people. You've consistently been that beacon of hope, but you've had hardships. You've had to overcome a lot in your life. Has there ever been a time that you lost hope, or have you always, that's been the cornerstone for you?
I am a human being, of course. There are moments when I lose hope, but what I notice is that I lose it for maybe 24 hours
Yeah.
or 36 hours. Like my loss of hope, it doesn't mean that I gave up. It's just like with this thing realizing in May that I will not find people like I will find them before, I felt like an existential threat because I always thought that I can go back to Denver and like I did it, you know, 20 years ago because I have all the experience and I have a lot of things to show for what I've done in my life. I thought I would build a new financial business or whatever in just like, I don't know, a few months. That was my it was a pipe dream because it doesn't life like it was, it doesn't exist. I can't go and shake hands, and that's my strength. You know, I can walk in to any place and say, "Hey, I'm Lyubim, nice to meet you," and start the conversation. So I do lose hope, but then I have this.
Yeah.
You know, the guy in the middle is the guy who needed the emergency physical therapy for 30 days. And that's why I keep going. So first it was like my personal dream, you know, first generation immigrant. I want to I want to get a good education, you know. I want to go to school in New York City, then I want to get a job, and then I want to start a business and on and on and on. And there is no fallback. When you're an immigrant, you know, you really don't have the luxury of even talking to your friends because you have none. So you traveling this lonely journey. And again, going back to my unfair advantage, I guess I was traveling this lonely journey since I was one. So, you know, I just always am aware that I have to keep moving.
Yeah.
So those times of when I lose hope, like the whole situation is so hopeless that you lose hope and then you come up with something else and you try. I think I am, if anything I can share with your listeners is that like taking action is the way out of that feeling.
Yeah.
And my way out of that feeling, like I got really scared and I'm not hiding that I felt that my existence is threatened. So when I went and you know, I said, I'm going to be a guest on podcasts. It's the first time that I wrote this run-on sentence about what I've done and sent it to somebody else because, you know, I was doing my work. I didn't need the public. I don't need the internet. I don't need the Facebook, the Instagram, nothing. And here I am now. I have to restart from zero. I have to learn it. And 10 years being away completely of the grid, and I have to come back and say, hey, now I am dealing with amputee veterans. That's what I'm doing. But I have to go out because by myself, I cannot carry the mission. And again, becoming hopeless or losing hope is a normal part of the journey.
Yeah.
But then finding the strength in you to restart is where you find how really strong you are. And we
Absolutely.
are all unlimited. You know, if we turn off the chatterbox here and we go for the compass, for what's really important to me, what I'd like to do. For you, maybe you turn to the music. I turn to sports. You know, I need to start moving. I move, I walk a lot. If I am really down, I start walking, and we're talking about, 30, 40,000 steps a day. I would just walk until I would turn off the chatterbox and I could clearly think about where I'm going next and how I'm going to do it.
So when you look back on your life and everything that you've accomplished, and more importantly, this evolution of you as a human being, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
Keeping this promise.
Yeah.
On the back of this card, I wrote why we're here. In 30 days, the guy who is in the middle, he has to begin physical therapy program to save his only leg. This is not a charity. You're holding a promise that was kept. Scan the code, balance the scale. So you're holding a card that was kept. And I had no idea how I'm going to do this. I promised him that I will bring him because we had one session in April 9 to 19. We had one amputee and one deaf veteran who came out with spouses. It's just a normal program, where we take them sea, mountains, submergent culture. We leave in the morning, we come back at night. They're really busy. And I took him to my physical therapist, and she says, look at his muscles. Because he's standing on one leg all the time, the muscles are getting shorter and they're pinching on his sciatic nerve. And she said, one wrong move and he can become paralyzed. And this guy is the captain of the amputee soccer team. He's not just your regular amputee. He's a superstar in terms of showing resilience and being an example that life, you can actually live a normal life. It's not alcohol and drugs and, being somewhere discarded, accepting that role. But until 3 days before coming here, I kept telling him, just you pack and you get ready to go. And I didn't know how to fund it. And then I called people who I worked with, and that was, the first reach outside of the family. And I said, look, I need to bring this guy here now because for me personally, if I couldn't achieve that goal, then the whole mission was just it's like Mickey Mouse. Everybody knows about him, but nobody really met him. And it would be the same thing. It's a lot of, photos of doing fun stuff, but when it comes to reality, bringing him here for 30 minutes for 30 days, and actually being able to go to all the therapy and see what he has to go through and hold the rubber bands because, his physical therapist is off. We have holidays right now, just for 4 days. Like that is my biggest accomplishment. I just had one of my biggest accomplishment at the end of May. I made the promise and I kept the promise.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, everyone that you work with, everyone that knows you, everyone that gets your book, but you run the show. What's your
Yeah.
perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Me? I think I am an empath. I have this strong sense of empathy and I have this skewed feeling towards fairness. Um, since I'm not that motivated by money, I am very curious about the process on how to accomplish things. And to me personally, I love big accomplishments. Like, for example, my last thing was at 42, I decided that I want to learn how to fly paragliders. And I would not just want to fly them, I want to get good enough to fly passengers, like real people. And, we have a little plastic bag and no fuselage. You're just hanging in little backpacks with strings like thousands of feet above the ground. It took me 6 years. But when they got there, the sense of accomplishment and satisfaction to me, it's like the whole universe. So I am the guy who cannot live with his fears. And I get an insane amount of satisfaction of accomplishing big goals. To my family, I think they know that I'm crazy. They know that I will, if I go, it's like hard to stop that guy who just took off. So I'd say go-getter for the lack of better word, but really I like big goals and I like working towards them and then getting there and having the satisfaction of accomplishing something big and something real. I'll tell you what I'm not, I do not like to appear something I am not. And really, if it wasn't for these guys, I would never write that run-on sentence about my accomplishment. and send it to you. I would not be here by myself, but I'm here for others.
So if anybody wants to support Wings4Heroes, if they want to get your book, they want to reach out, they want to look at the wonderful work you've done, they have any questions, support, how do they do that?
But the best thing is Wings4Heroes. It's Wings number 4. It's not FR, Wings4Heroes.org. And I am writing a story and I'm making videos to show, like, you will get the essence about it. So on the website, I try to, put out the essence for somebody who would want to go and actually spend some time and read. First, it was what I'm going to do, that I'll get this mission off the ground, that I got it off the ground. Now I wrote a little bit about what's been done. We just updated it in April. And I'm making videos of the things that we're doing and just putting it out there, what it's like, people are asking for more videos from the air, but I'm sorry, I'm in physical therapy rooms helping a guy to save his only leg. And obviously, our biggest need is there are so many people that need help. And I have the volunteers, I have the physical therapist, acupuncture, we added a swimming coach, we have cycling trainers, we have all this program that is ready to go. But because I'm just starting to raise funds, that's our biggest bottleneck. So if anybody is looking for a cause to support, you hit the contact button and it will go directly to me. So Wings4Heroes, see what's out there. If it resonates with you, just fill out that form. It goes to me on my phone. There is no spamming. There is no, mailing, selling. I don't know any of that stuff, but I know people are concerned. So if you hit contact button on Wings4Heroes.org, it will go directly to me and I'll be the one who will call you back and we can talk about, what's been done, how it's been done. And one of the things is that, look, on $36, we've done a lot of good things, So yeah, Wings4Heroes.org and contact button.
I love it. I will put all of this in the show notes.
Thank
Lyubim, what
you.
a wonderful story. What an enormous amount of light you're putting in the world. Souls like you just reassure me that we're doing okay down here. You are a beacon of hope. So thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. I genuinely appreciate your time.
Of course, Joe. Those people are it's like if every morning you wake up, you look where the sun is rising, and the sun is rising on the east and it sets on the west. And all the wars now, they come from the east and they want to go west. The peace is west, the war is east, and you follow that sun, and that's the natural progression of the human need. West side, we are creating new things, we're working, we're trying to be productive. And the east, for some reason, it wants to come and by means of weapons and force to take our peace away. And in that space between war and peace, there are these men and women who went out there and they said, look, I'm going to protect you, but if something happens to me, you got to take care of me. And that's the social contract that we have with our veterans, and we're not upholding our end. There's not government cannot do anything. Yeah. You see what their programs are out there, but they really need help. And I just wanted to, I couldn't look away. I just couldn't look away. So thank you for having me. This is for all of us. And I know that me doing this work is keeping our homes more peaceful.
Absolutely. And that's what we need. What a wonderful metaphor. I love that. What you just constructed, it just puts everything into perspective. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.